Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters. Recently, as we all know, the Karnataka High Court given a judgment over a hijab issue that hijab is not an essential practice in Islam. Now, wearing a hijab is a matter of a question in many of the colleges. Where hijab is at the one hand, on the other hand, where majority intolerance have been raising in country, where majority religious group particularly targeting various religious practices of the minority. As there are so many examples that are going viral in the social media, where the media is silent for such incident which was happened recently, such as Madhya Pradesh incident, where a mob bringing swords and playing DJs while Muslims are praying. Also stressing upon the UP incident, where a priest calling open rape threat on Muslim women, that too in the loudspeaker. Another incident that took place in UP primarily, where a Dalit boy was thrashed and forced to lick feet. And recent another example of Madhya Pradesh incident, where communal clashes reported during festivals between two communities. Following these clashes, government authorities identified the alleged rioters, and based on these allegations and riots, the properties which were involved in these riots were bulldozed and demolished by the Madhya Pradesh government. Such demolition was arbitrary in nature, and many people who were nothing to do with the riots, even they have been punished and their houses were bulldozed by the government. The same bulldozing incident which also happened in Delhi at Jahangirpuri, where 2 hours, even after the Supreme Court passed halt order, shops were bulldozed and demolished without giving a pre-notice to the victims. And at the last, the hijab incident, where the video showing student named Muskan being heckled on arrival at her college in Karnataka on wearing a hijab by saffron-clad students. And there is many more incidents that is happening in our country. All such incidents not only provoke for the communal clashes but also hindrance to the development of the country. While all such incident is taken, as a Muslim, the question here is what should be our stand while such violence is taking place? Yes, of course, we should raise our voice for those who are oppressed, but again we should work in patience. As the holy text Quran says, Almighty loves those who stand with patience. The word patience had mentioned many times in holy text Quran. One of the verses where Almighty mentions in holy text Quran in chapter number 2, verse number 45, Surah Al-Baqarah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين.
The meaning of this ayah is, and seek help through patience and prayer, and indeed it is difficult except for the humbly submissive to Almighty. Again in the same chapter, verse 153, Almighty says,
يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين.
It means, O you who have believed, seek help through patience and prayer. Indeed, Almighty is with the patient. Another reference where Almighty says in chapter 31, verse number 13 of the Quran,
يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانه عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور.
Establish prayer and join what is right, forbid what is wrong, and be patient over what befalls you. indeed all this is of the matters requiring determination. This is a guidance given by Almighty to remain patient while such oppression is taking place. As we all know, whenever such incident takes place, we move to court, and we all believe that court is one which gives remedies for such actions, and it becomes the responsibility of the court to give justice for the victims and to stand with oppressor, and also it becomes a people's responsibility to come forward and to take legal actions in order to maintain peace and to act as a deterrent for such violence. There are various provisions in the Indian law which can give remedy for such actions. For example, where IPC section 153 gives punishment for those who with a bad faith gives provocations for the incident, where due to such provocations, if the riot is taken place, then it is said that he or she has been committed an offence and he or she may subject for jail which may extend for 1 year. And in the same way, IPC section 153A gives punishment for those who promote enmity between the different groups on the grounds of religion, race, place of birth, etc. And while doing such acts which affects the maintenance of harmony, such person may subject to imprisonment which may extend to 3 years and shall also be liable for fine. And there are such lot of provisions which is inserted in our Indian law, but sad to notice that all such provisions are misused by the authorities. These works not only goes against the constitution but also goes against the principles of freedom struggle and runs against the principles of Indian civilization too. Our Indian civilization has accepted and adopted different faiths and has been allowing different religions to flourish. Thus giving birth to the beautiful multi-religious society, it is based on these civilizations. Great philosophies were emerged and such philosophies were inserted in our Indian constitution which was drafted by our founding father. Thanks to the ideology and vision of the Indian leaders like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad and others who led the Indian freedom struggle, very strong and solid foundation was laid for the modern Indian states. And these modern Indian states were based on the modern liberal values which was drawn from the principles of the Indian civilization. Because great Indian civilization always been a land of religious tolerance. Religions like Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, Buddhism and others has always propounded the principles equality and fraternity. If you look into Rig Veda verse number 60.5, it propounds that no one is superior, none is inferior. All are brothers marching forward to prosperity. In the same way, if you look into the holy text Quran, it preaches
من أجل ذلك كتبنا على بني إسرائيل أنه من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا ولقد جاءتهم رسلنا بالبينات ثم إن كثيرا منهم بعد ذلك في الأرض لمسرفون.
It means, if anyone kills a human being, it shall be as though he had killed all mankind. Whereas if anyone saves a life, it shall be as though he had saved the lives of all mankind. where we can clearly understand that how much importance has given for human's life, even killing a single human being for no reason, it is such that he had destroyed the whole mankind. Ultimately, it is killing a humanity. In the same way, all the other religion which does contain principal values of fraternity and equality. So this aspect of religious tolerance has been inherent to the Indian society. The Constitution codified these principles by not just providing equality and fraternity, but also by providing secular state. The secular in the sense, at the one hand, the state has absolutely no religion, and on the other hand, whereas complete freedom of religion is granted to the citizens. Generally, it is argued by the constitutional and the legal experts that the Indian concept of secularism is different from the European concept. In the European context, secularism is interpreted as a complete separation of state from religion, where the state and religion are seen as a separate, isolated entities. Whereas in the Indian context, it was always been said that this European interpretation does not apply, but instead Indian secularism refers to the equal protection and respect for all the religions. Very sad to say that because of these diluted principles of secularism, state representatives have been often indulged in openly displaying the religious faiths and practices, whereas on the other hand, the religious rights and practices of citizens is curbed in various forms as shown in video, thus leading to the violation of basic structure of the constitution. On the other side, we can see the people who actually wanted to celebrate the diversity that exists in India, keeping aside of all the hatredness. There are also some people who actually wanted to see this India as a more secular and democratic. As you can see in the image, there are Hindu brothers forming a human chain, protecting Jamia Mosque from pelting stones in Bihar. This shows a best example and tells a lesson that hatredness can't be solved by hating each other, rather it can be solved by spreading love and humanitarian principles. And in another footage, where a Muslim man disputing the water bottles in a religious Hindu rally in order to quench the thirst of the peoples who were present in the rally. Another same example, where Gujarat temple allows 100 Muslims to break Ramzan fast and also allows to offer Maghrib prayer as a symbol of brotherhood. Such beautiful saying of brotherhood can't be seen in any of the countries, with such examples can only seen in India. There is a supporting case in respect to secularism, where in the Supreme Court, in the Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan, where Supreme Court ruled that the state shall have no religion of its own. Now moving towards the topic validity of wearing hijab, where it says in Article 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution, which speaks about right to freedom of religion, where Article 25 clause 1 of the Indian Constitution, which particularly says all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right to freely profess, practice and propagate religion. As every rights in the Indian Constitution, these rights also have some reasonable restrictions. Those restrictions should not be against public order, morality and health. If you are a rational human being and if you start to question yourself whether wearing a hijab is it a threat to the security of the country or is it terrible to morality? No. Is it adversely affecting the public order? Nothing of such thing is found harm in wearing hijab. So we clearly understood that no one is getting hurt simply because a woman chooses to wear a hijab. Majority of the Muslims in the country wear hijab by their choice and not by the force. Muslim women think that wearing of hijab makes them feel modest, makes them feel safe. By wearing a hijab, it makes them feel that they are in connection with the Creator who made us and the whole universe, and they are just following the command given by the God. Not only in Islam, but in every religion as well, where certain faiths and practices can be seen. As we all know, India is the best example for diversity, where Hindus apply kumkuma on their forehead, Sikhs wear turban over their heads. All such practices is a belief and we cannot deny such practices. As we all know, India is a country of many religions and diversity exists in every aspect, whether it could be a language, custom, religion and so on. There is one particular principle which every religion preaches, that's peace. Where peace exists, there humanity exists in the society. Let us take this diversity as a celebration in India. This is all about first part, and in the second part of this video, we shall be talking about whether wearing a hijab is obligatory in Islam and what are the reasons behind wearing hijab. All such issues are discussed in the next video. Until then, stay tuned, stay safe. May Almighty's blessings be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.